Hey there, Comics Crypto Critters, and welcome to Movie Talk Reviews. My name is Kevin Lee Loader, and today I am joined by Sean O'Hare and former ghost of the podcast, Roth Rind. Last night we saw Thor Love and Thunder starring Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman, and Christian Bale. The movie is directed and co-written by Taika Waititi. So what did you guys think of the movie? We just saw it last night.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, generally, I actually had a really good time with the movie. I didn't really know what to expect going in. You know, watching some of the more recent Marvel films, I was feeling a little like maybe overstimulated by superhero movies and a little bit of feeling underwhelmed by the storytelling of some of them. So I felt like I was going, well, we'll just see what happens. And I had a great time with it. Yeah. I honestly think one of the best parts of the movie is Christian Bale. As far as like a bad guy or an antagonist is concerned, I felt like he had the best motivation to become the antagonist. More so than most of the previous Marvel franchise films we've seen so far.
And by the way, just to let you all know, this is a spoil review, so just
100% spoil review.
Yeah, just warning you on that one. We are going to be talking about things that happen in the movie and around that.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. There were definitely moments where I felt like in the edit, and we talked about that earlier, I felt weird.
Yeah.
I felt kind of weird. But overall, man, it was fun. I laughed a lot.
I thought it was okay.
Really?
Yeah, so my issue right now, and especially with that one, is it felt messy, in my opinion. Like, yes, there were great jokes. There are great moments in this movie. But as a whole, I just felt like it was good. Not great, not amazing, just good. But not from what I expect from both Taika and also from a $250 million budget. In my opinion, especially with some of the special effects, which were very rough at times, and the editing, which was at times just really messy and really bizarre. I just found myself at one point just getting frustrated watching it and kind of bored. Like, yeah, I laughed at some parts. Like, the fact that the goats in this movie are like my biggest takeaway is a problem. And that's my first thing that I thought of this morning. When I woke up and I thought of Thor Love and Thunder, I thought of the goats. And I went, shit.
Definitely felt like it was trying to be different than any of the other Marvel movies so far, right? You did have these like structural choices in the editing whenever they did a montage and Korg was basically filling you in on every character and what was going on. Those were interesting. I honestly didn't hate them though. Like for me, I was like, it felt like the movie was owning the tone that it's just making fun of itself and it's owning the tone that it's not taking it seriously. Where I actually had more problems in the movie was Thor himself. I honestly felt like Thor was turned into a much more just idiotic version of himself.
Yeah.
I think what they were trying to do initially is like he is out of control because he doesn't know who he is and he's emotionally wrecked by all the things that went on in his past. And like they kind of sweep that through when Korg is explaining what happened to Thor, right? But like when you do that, you take the power away from the character realizing where he's at and instead telling the audience where he's at. So we never actually see him in that emotional struggle. Yeah. That being said, we have seen him in that struggle in previous movies.
So that was my other takeaway is this is the same storyline as Thor Ragnarok. Literally. The fact that we just came back to this again, I was like, and I get it. It's a different version of that because of Endgame and all that. But like, I still wanted something more.
Where I think you can also we can align on that is it felt like when we left Endgame, we're like, okay, Thor is now going on adventures with Guardians of the Galaxy. So here's going to be this Thor movie where it's him being part of another team, maybe expanding where the direction is going with Marvel. But they quickly wrote that out and gave him back into his own individual storyline where the Guardians just suddenly left after 20 minutes of the movie, right? So it did feel kind of like what was the point of him leaving with them in order for this story to take off other than just be a tool to get him going? Especially
since how long has he been with them? Like, and how did he not grow with them? And how, like, they didn't have an impact on him? Like, that whole situation was a little weird. Like, it was cool seeing Guardians of the Galaxy, but like, yeah, it just felt like, what's the bigger point of that?
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And Gore the Butcher, how long did you think he was on screen for? It felt like he was only on screen for 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, he wasn't there the whole
I don't
time.
feel like we really got to know his like more about his character after the first scene. You know, after that it was just about him just like.
Actually, there's a scene in the movie that I liked. It was when he's with the kids.
Yeah.
And he has the snake.
Yeah.
And he rips the head off. I really thought that scene he would explain more of his motivation. He's lost his daughter, and yet here's all these children, and he's trying to be both scary, but maybe he starts to kind of explain more of why he wants to do this.
He does that a little bit. He does talk about. He looks at the little girl and he says, "I had a little girl like you. She looked a lot like you. She was my daughter." But that's just
the same motivation as the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing that popped up for me. There was he explains that story to the kids, and then he tells the exact same story about 15 minutes later.
Oh yeah.
And it was like almost the exact same line, so it felt like almost repetitive.
Yeah.
It's like, why did we do both of these?
Yeah.
Unless you felt like, oh, these characters also have to learn the story. Versus, these characters as well. Like there probably was another way they could have structured that.
Yeah.
I think on a human angle, it was really cool to bring in Jane back. And I honestly thought the goofiness of her being Thor and all of that stuff, it took me a while to get on board. It took me a while. Like I was like, I don't know.
It took you a while to get on board for the cancer patient who becomes Thor.
Yeah, it took me a while. Like it's like first off, how is she getting here? And then they explain that. They do a very good job of explaining it with like basically ignoring canon.
Yeah.
And now he talks to his hammer and has a relationship with his hammer. Yeah.
And I did kind of love that.
I love that. I thought that was hilarious. Like the moment when the axe was like getting upset because he thought he was cheating on him.
Exactly.
That was right off screen. That was funny.
Yeah,
That's really
exactly.
funny. Yeah, I thought that was a cool moment. Those were cool moments.
But what I liked the most about it is then giving her the choice to be a hero rather than the damsel in distress all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
I did like that.
In the previous movies, it was about logic for her and science and call upon Thor whenever you need help. And now she's the person who's coming to help him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's such a good point.
Which was really interesting to watch.
Yeah.
At the detriment to herself, unfortunately.
Yeah. She dies in the end.
Yeah. she becomes an Asgardian? Question mark?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they... Well, I think they tried to explain that and saying you are Asgardian because there's that scene between her and what's her name?
Tessa Valkyrie?
Valkyrie, yeah. It's between her and Valkyrie where she's like, oh, yeah, you're one of us now. Look at you. You are a Viking. You are a Thor. You are, She says that in like one line.
Yeah. She died in battle. Remember, that was the whole point in the very beginning. Everybody's like, your arm might be there.
Yeah, that actually
that's the callback. That's the callback.
That was a great explanation about how.
Oh no!
It was great to see Sif again for another 3 minutes.
She got up there?
Yeah.
What if she got there and she's like, "What? I'm Catholic. What's happening here? Am I here?"
Yeah.
It's just funny to me because I was like, "Oh, it's that easy to be an Asgardian. Sweet, wow,
just die in battle."
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
No, I did like Jane. Like you said, her sacrifice. It was her decision to make that thing of I'm gonna come here and save you. I like that. That to me was the best moment there for that moment.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
I love that. And then that's being what caused her to die. Oh man.
Yeah, and it was also they have that scene in the hospital where she's like, "What is my time gonna be here?" Trying to basically dying of cancer, and Thor basically tells her like, well, but I also need you. Yeah. And he's not really giving her a choice in the matter. And at the end, she's like, no, I'm making the choice to help you. I'm her to sacrifice myself for you. All that. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Yeah. That moment was awesome.
My biggest struggles have tended to be around all the creatures that tend to be the baddie creatures in most of these movies. On DC side of things, they tend to lean into more of the goofy, cartoonistic side of stuff. Marvel, when they were doing Infinity War and Endgame, they were introducing these very weird alien creatures that were creepy in their own right? But you couldn't really you didn't find them to be scary, right? But what I liked about this is that it was creatures of the shadows that also when they came out you could never tell the full details of them, right? They were all very much masked. You got shapes. You're like, oh, there's a snake one here, and there's this weird spider one here, but just in obscure shapes, right? And that made them more scary. Even the kids getting taken by them. I literally was like, that was my biggest fear as a kid.
Yeah.
Being like the monster under the bed in the shadows steals me from the room. You know.
Yeah. Real life boogeyman. That's cool.
Yeah, he's just like this. He has the sword. What was it called? The sword had a specific name.
Deathbringer?
Something. Oh man. Gord the God Butcher has a sword which he inherits at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're in like that rainforest area.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh yeah, we had to kill this guy because he was very like intense and he was gonna murder everyone. I was like, oh, so he can die easily?
Yeah. Well, I think they also showed that thing had been so poisoned by it. It looked like he was gooey and black and,
did they show that?
Yeah, in the beginning.
I don't remember that.
You see the sword next to the
saw
creature.
The sword.
And there was like this black creature just laying there that they had killed.
Oh, I missed that.
I think that itself was.
Oh, I missed that. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when they come in, they're like, "Oh, we're celebrating that we just killed this guy," and there was a sword sitting next to the guy on the ground.
Okay.
And that it was like a human alien looking guy, but he was completely goo and black and taken over by this curse.
Gotcha.
So I think they were trying to explain like this eventually kills you off anyways.
Gotcha.
So maybe they got the best of him because he's too weak. Whatever. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I kind of moved past that. It's kind of hard to find too much logic in Marvel movies, but here we are picking it apart anyways.
It's called the Necro Sword.
The Necro Sword.
The Necro Sword. Yeah,
I do love the Necro Sword and the powers it gives you. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So he was able to bring his daughter back in the end. That was kind of weird, right? Did they explain that before?
So at the end of the movie, one of the biggest things that we learned very far into the movie is his ultimate goal, which is to get to this God at the center of the universe called Eternity, right? Which also felt like that kind of just got tossed in there a little too late in the movie. We didn't hear anything about Eternity early on or whatever, right? He goes there, and we're told that the first person to stand in front of Eternity can ask for anything, one thing. And so they thought if he gets there, then he's going to ask to kill all gods, right? And then wipe them all out at once. But instead, he decides to ask for his daughter to live. Yeah. But he's going to die because he's been poisoned by this curse anyways, right?
Could have done a better wish.
Yeah.
I wish for my daughter and myself and everyone else to be okay.
Yeah.
Could have done a little better.
Only one wish. That's it. Only one.
Only one. Well, that was one wish.
I wonder who his daughter is going to end up being and how her impact will be in the MCU.
Yeah, because I think in the end, because she came from Eternity, she has powers.
Well, a couple things for that also. So, did you guys notice any similarities in the design of Eternity, the god, like the texture that was on it versus other Marvel films where we've seen like universes and places they've been?
So, for some reason, the first one I thought of, and I could be way wrong, but for some reason the shape of the head looked like Galactus to me. I don't know why.
100% Galactus. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Really?
100%.
Oh shit!
Yeah, immediately thought of Galactus.
I thought it was crazy, but I was like, oh,
100% Galactus. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, 100%. I saw that. I was like, that is Galactus.
Oh,
yeah. So you're not the only one who thought that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a couple things that I'm thinking of here. What I found interesting is when they were standing before Eternity, what were they standing in? They were standing in just water, and it was a clear, cloudy sky, beautiful day, that kind of stuff. The only other time we have seen characters standing in water is in Infinity War and Endgame when Thanos is standing in the water after the Soul Stone, right?
Well, in order to get the Soul Stone, he had to sacrifice Gamora,
right.
And when that happened, he appeared in that area.
Yeah, well, I think he appeared, and was it still flat, or was he? Because I know there's 2 points he goes back there. It's one when he snaps his fingers. And he's looking at the younger version of his daughter.
Oh, what did it?
And is it worth it, or
what did it cost?
Or what did it cost? Everything. Yeah.
Gotcha. I forgot.
And then you're right. The other time when he wakes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like beautiful sunset, that kind of thing. So whatever that area is, I think is tied into whatever we saw at the end of Thor Ragnarok, because they chose a very similar landscape. Well, I also thought I was like that texture, all the galaxies and that kind of stuff. I was trying to figure out. There's another Marvel film where we've seen that very same look in, and I can't figure out where it was from.
Interesting. Maybe.
How great was it the scene with the kids? I thought that was hilarious.
That was awesome.
That was
great.
When they all got
with the teddy bear.
Yes. Yeah.
That was hilarious. Oh god.
Give them only for a limited time. The power of Thor.
Give them the power for a limited time. Yeah, that scene with the kids getting the power was
so
pretty
funny.
awesome.
That was pretty funny. Yeah. Tangent, but how wonderful was Russell Crowe? Because
Oh
his
my
my
God.
God.
So I
Best
know
cameo.
some people have not liked his performance. I've read reviews.
Yeah.
I don't care. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic.
He was so funny.
he was so funny. His terrible Italian accent was just so.
That was the
I think
best
it's
part.
Greek.
Is it Greek? I don't.
Greek.
Well, whatever
It
it
was
was,
supposed
it was
to be
in
Greek.
between.
Well, no,
something.
at one point it's Russian, but
Oh yeah.
I think that was that was on purpose, right?
oh, probably,
Yeah.
or at least, or not. If not on purpose, even Taika was like, "Let's
Like, just
Sure.
Just
go
roll with
for
it.
it.
Go
That's,
for it.
that's hilarious.
Yeah. No, it was. I thought it was so funny.
I've never seen him in a role where I laughed.
yeah."
Like, he's,
Really? You never saw him with what was it? Ryan Gosling. The Good
Nice
Guys.
Guys.
Nice Guys.
Nice Guys. I
Oh,
love
okay.
Nice
I take
Guys.
that back. He was
Yeah.
hilarious in
Yeah.
that. That was a
Yeah.
really good film.
Yeah.
The Nice Guys was amazing. No, but yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, we'll scratch that.
I just felt like he was having a blast in that.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Like he was just like his performance. He was almost chewing the scenery, literally.
Yes.
It was so good.
Yes.
Like when he threw the lightning bolt and he's like just giving a presentation to show.
Yeah.
You just see Russell Crowe just in there just enjoying, loving that moment. Like that was really him. Just being,
You are no longer invited to the orgy.
oh my God, that was so good.
My favorite line.
Yeah.
That was so good.
And they did a great job of giving nods to actual Greek mythology throughout, like even just all in joke form, which I loved. Like when he would like make a joke, and then one of the gods below was, "Great joke, Dad!" And I'm
That
like,
was great.
I kind of thought in my head, I was like, "Oh yeah, who isn't his son or
Yeah.
daughter?"
Yeah.
You know, like-
Nice one, Dad. That's so good.
Oh man.
And then at the end, he's there. He's there. He's every way. Roy Kent.
yeah.
Roy
Roy
Kent.
Kent. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I see him as Hercules. Are you kidding me?
The fact that it's Roy Kent
Oh yeah.
is amazing.
It's so amazing.
It was great, like watching the hearing the crowd all go, "Oh, come on!"
Oh
Oh my
man.
gosh, that's so good.
What was the mid-credit scene? I don't remember.
That was the mid-credit
That
scene.
was the mid credits. The
Oh, was
last
that the
one
mid-credits?
was
Oh,
Jane going
that's
to
right.
Valhalla.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the mid-credit scene is with Hercules.
It was
Yeah.
nice
And
enough for
credits
Jane,
was-
I think. I think so. I think so.
I think that
You know?
that scene to me was Marvel going, "Don't worry, she's not
Yeah,
dead."
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about that scene. That scene was weird. I thought
Yeah.
it was weird. But I think the film itself, her storyline.
Oh, setting
Oh,
off from the
oh,
storyline.
yeah, the
Yeah.
storyline.
Oh, we were
Absolutely.
talking about the end scene, so again,
Oh.
you tangentially threw it back to
Yeah.
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much outside of that. I thought visuals were fine. Kind of.
Yeah.
I felt like there was some inconsistency in the cinematography and lighting.
Definitely.
And this is something I had to struggle with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, is that it felt like there was multiple movies being shot by different crews and then compiling them together.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think the biggest takeaway are the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those goats,
That's
man.
crazy.
Screaming goats.
Yeah.
it.
Literally. These goats.
And the
just
joke
scream.
didn't get old.
No, I
No.
love it every time.
Yeah. And those goats took a beating,
Oh,
man.
dude,
they took a beating.
Crashed into a planet.
I love that.
Every time they landed,
Yeah.
screaming.
That felt like a straight nod to Rick and Morty.
That's something I noticed in Thor Love Thunder. We got a lot more gay representation in this film.
Yeah, we did.
We have Valkyrie with like her girlfriends and her obviously being attracted to other women.
Yeah.
You have Korg.
Yeah, Korg.
who
That was really
literally-
cool.
His
Yeah.
whole species, I guess, is always mating with men.
males. Yeah.
Which
That
is,
was
I like,
awesome.
oh,
My
holy
two
shit.
dads.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
And it didn't feel forced. I feel
No.
like they weren't jamming
No.
it down our throats. It was really
Exactly.
fun. It was
Yeah.
super
Yeah,
fun
it really
and
was.
light
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
it felt natural.
Exactly.
And Taika crushed that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
I didn't even really think about it because
Yeah.
it came off so naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're spot on, man.
Yeah.
That was
So,
awesome.
yeah, it's cool to see that they're starting to implement that more.
Yeah.
Very cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Korg, still love him.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
fun.
Korg's
Played
amazing.
by Taika Waititi,
Yeah.
of course. Ah,
It was really fun to see him in a more significant role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause he-
Definitely.
Yeah,
He can carry
Yeah.
the screen.
yeah. I just love the fact that he's Thor's hype man.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like when he's like introducing
He's
him
introducing-
to
he, like, does the little,
he gets
introduction.
in front of Thor and like holds his hand out, and Thor's like, "Just move over, man." Like, Let me do my thing.
But even the moments when he throws him under the bus, remember that? Remember the moment when he's
Yeah. Who's talking over there? They're talking.
Oh,
They're talking.
Like, Korg.
Honestly, I think my favorite moment for that was, so what's the signal? Go is the signal. Oh, okay. And then when they just start going, he's like, you didn't say go.
Hey, they told him one thing. He sticks to the plan.
He's
very good at that.
Yeah, and then him as just the face throughout the rest of the movie.
Which I was just like, sure, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Hey, but and then he came back together miraculously somehow.
Yeah,
so miraculously.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Whatever, it's Marvel. You're going to see it anyways.
With Dwayne the Rock Creature.
A man named man. His name is Dwayne.
Dwayne the Rock.
Yeah. Did you not get that?
At the time, I didn't get it.
Me and Roth looked at each other
me
like,
that's funny. Yeah.
The mustache threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I wish the mustache. It would have been great if he had the eyebrow thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would have been good.
A little too on the nose, maybe?
No, that would have been great. That would have been excellent. Yeah.
Should have hired me, Marvel.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where does it go from here? Because I feel like this film, it was more of a film about closure and kind of a filler.
It is definitely a filler movie, unfortunately. I will say that.
It didn't really attach itself to the multiverse run that they're trying to create. I didn't feel like there was any. The only thing that we know right now is that the Guardians went off to go help other people, but we didn't know what their mission was or what they were trying to do. We didn't even get a sense that he was still going to try and find
Gamora.
Gamora, yeah. We didn't get a sense that he was going off to find Gamora or anything like that. It was just like, okay, we're leaving you now. Bye.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So what was their storyline going to be?
Exactly. That's why I think I was a little disappointed in their thing at the beginning of the movie. I think we all knew they weren't going to be there for the whole movie, but like the Guardians of the Galaxy at the beginning, like I just didn't feel anything with that.
No,
like, they did nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of purpose to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that actually played kind of well because it showed that there was no point to them fighting with Thor because Thor can handle it all. It's like we're not superheroes, you know. You see them in the battle, it's just like, why are we here? You know,
and I get that.
But that on its own was not enough to be like, okay, so where's your story going next, right? It would have been nice to have some sort of tease to that, and there might have been in those distress calls they were mostly showing distress calls of gods dying, right? Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, there was nothing teased about what's coming next.
Yeah.
It's
Guardians of the Galaxies, they were there.
We do know that Hercules is coming. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
So Roth, what are your final thoughts?
I would say if you're go in with no expectations other than to have a good time, right? That I still had fun. That the dialogue was really snappy. It was constantly having laughs. The jokes were punching. The visuals were fun to watch. Christian Bale ate up the screen. He was fantastic in it. But in my personal perspective, I don't feel like it furthers much of the Marvel franchise with maybe a couple breadcrumbs here and there, but it's not a giant story leap forward. Yeah,
Sean,
it's a poor man's Ragnarok. That's really what it is. You know, I really enjoyed it just because I love the character so much. I can get past a lot of its flaws, but overall, it's just a filler movie. I really there's all the things that we talked about, so much fun for a lot of reasons, but it's not going to be one of the most memorable Marvel films in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I agree with all that. For me, it's a good movie. It's not great. You can have fun with it, especially with the comedy. A lot of inconsistencies, a lot of continuity errors. Also, again, my biggest thing, and you mentioned this earlier, Roth, was Thor felt dumber. Yeah. And while Thor can sometimes be a meathead, he's not stupid. Yeah. Especially after all this time. Like, he should be a little bit better than the way they portrayed him. But you can have fun. The goats are amazing. Yeah. And overall, I think if you go into it, like Roth said, with just an open mind, don't really go in it with expectations, you can have a lot of fun with this movie. But ultimately, I think I just give it an good, not great. Thank you both so much for joining me for the Thor Love and Thunder review. Appreciate it. We will see you all next time, and hopefully you'll see more of these reviews coming in the future. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Woo!
See ya!
Bye!
Comics and crypto.